Hey guys, so I'm here with another video. In this video, I'm gonna talk about the procedure and the things that you have to keep in mind while applying to universities abroad. In addition to this, I'm gonna talk about the doubts that most of the students are having at this point of time. So basically, there are 6 stages that I want you to follow while applying to these universities. The first stage is making a university list. So this list will consist of 3 categories. The first category will consist of 3 universities that you think will be tough for you to get into. The second category will consist of the universities that you think will be easier for you to get into, and the third category will consist of the universities which will act as a backup plan. So every category should have 2 to 3 universities in it, and that will help you to have a bunch of choices at the end of the day, and you will be at a position to choose. So the second stage is giving IELTS or TOEFL. So as we know, IELTS and TOEFL both are considered in approximately every university in US, Canada or Australia, but the students who are categorically applying to universities in America, I will suggest them to give TOEFL over IELTS. In addition to this, the students who are applying in America, I will suggest them to give SATs too, because SATs are one of the most important elements on their application. So the third stage is academic record. So this record consists of your 10th, 11th and 12th certificate. One thing that students are not aware of is that though the admission committee looks upon your grades in this record very sincerely, but one more thing they look upon is the continuous growth a student is exhibiting by his or her grades. For example, a student got 85% in his 10th class, and from there he shows a continuous rise in his percentage through his or her grades. So this will look as a positive thing in his or her application. So I would advise the people who were not able to get a nice percentage in their previous classes, I would advise them to keep pushing them up so as to make a decent academic record. In addition to this, the students who are applying during their 12th class have to submit their predicted marks. One thing I want to advise them is to keep a check on the difference they are getting between the predicted marks and the marks they had in 10th, as the difference of the percentage in both of them should preferably not increase by 5%. So the fourth stage is extracurricular activities. So the students who are into sports on a professional basis or into stuff like MUN, debates and Olympiads will be able to write all about it in this section. But most of the students are not into such things, that too on a professional level. So I would give advice to these students to get into volunteering activities so as to help their community, and further it will help you to write certain positive things in this section of yours on your application. For instance, during these days, as so many countries are suffering from this whole COVID situation, you can volunteer and collaborate with associations which are trying to help people to get over this whole COVID situation. So that is one way you can help your country and yourself at the same time. So the fifth stage is LORs and SOPs. LORs is basically the letter of recommendations that are given by your professors. In this letter, they talk about your skills, your performance, and your overall personality. Every university approximately needs around 2 to 3 LORs in their student application. So this is it for LORs. So now getting to the main aspect, that is SOP, that is statement of purpose. That is one of the most important element. I would rather say that it is the deciding factor for your admission while during this whole procedure. So SOPs are statement of purpose, in which you have to write about why you are taking this desired degree and why this university only. So there are many ways to pursue while writing these things. One way is that you can have a personal appeal in the application. That, for instance, you can write that you experienced some personal issue that made you realize that there is a need to do this degree, so that it can further help you or your community in the future. As another way to write such application is to connect your skills, your personal traits, your personality traits with your degree, and by explaining them how your skills and your traits can help you excel in your degree and can make you an exception in that. So these are some ways that you can pursue while writing your application. Talking about why this university, so it is basically totally up to you that you can write about that this university you can afford, this is a affordable university for you, or you can also talk about some researches that you like that was conducted at this particular university. So there are many ways to write this application, but I would suggest you that you make some pointers for it, and you confirm this thing that every pointer should connect to another point very smoothly, so that it can come out to be a beautiful story that the professors can read and feel it. So the sixth and the last stage is where to apply. So the students who are going to apply to American universities should create an account on Common App. And this is an app which consists of 450 to 500 registered American universities. And from here, you can directly upload all your documents at once to your selected universities. Talking about the students who are going to apply for Canadian and Australian university, they have to do this whole procedure on an individual basis. That is, they have to apply individually to every university over there in which they want to go. And although the Ontario based universities in Canada have a common portal called OUAC, in which you can create an account and just upload all your documents and send all your documents to every universities based in Ontario at once. So this was all for the whole procedure. So talking about the doubts which students were having at this point of time, so doubt number one is fee structure and the living expenses that a student may experience at University of Calgary. So talking about the fee structure, so I had to pay around $20,000 for my first year undergrad as an engineering student. This fees may increase for international as well as for domestic students in the upcoming years, as this agenda is being discussed on the discussion panel on the university portal. So in addition to this, talking about the living expenses, so I talked to some of my batchmates over there, and they told me that they had to pay around $1,100 per month as a rent, which included everything like water bill and electricity bill and stuff like that. And in addition to this, they had to pay around $200 for groceries and all. So there is a approximate a rough estimate of around $1,300 to $1,500 per month that you have to pay in addition to your tuition fees. I would personally suggest you to go on campus for like some time and live in hostels, as this will give you enough time to analyze the properties which are around and the apartments which are around you, and you will not rush into a bad decision. And this would probably help you to get a finer apartment, well furnished one, that too on a good reasonable price. So doubt number two is that RSAT scores are necessary while applying to universities based in Canada or Australia. So the answer is no, they are not necessary. But if you are having a really good SAT score, then I will strongly suggest you to add it on your application, as it will help you on the scholarship aspect, and it will be a really big positive point on your application. So doubt number three is a diploma or a degree. So many of the students are really confused in this, that whether they should go for a diploma or a professional degree. So for that, you have to see your future career goals, whether you want to go into you want to do some specialization in some subject, or you want to straightly go into a job sector. It totally depends upon you. The people who want to go into research based jobs, or who wants to do a master's after doing their degree, I will suggest them that they should do a professional degree from an authorized institution. And the people who are not into researches and all should straight away go for a diploma, because after doing a diploma they can have a job. And mostly in a job interview, the employers look upon your skills rather than the degree you're holding. So I guess this piece of information would be helpful for your question. So doubt number 4 is co-op or internship. So many of the students don't even know the difference between both. So co-op is a program in which you have to go for like 4 months for your internship, and then after completing those 4 months of your internship, you have to come back to attend your academic session. While a proper internship is that in which you have to go for like straight away for like 8 to 16 months to a company to work in it, and then you have to come back after that. So this is the main difference between both of them, and you can choose in which program you want to get enrolled into accordingly. Universities may have a totally opposite definition of both of them. Basically the main difference is that is this only. Rest, every person, every university has their own version of definition to both the programs, so you can look upon it and you can decide it for yourself. So this was all for this video. I hope you liked the video. Please do like, share and comment, and do subscribe to the channel. And if you want to have a look upon my online experience at my university, then click to this link. So this was all for it. Thank you for watching. Stay home, stay safe.